Are you saying aging is a disease?
I definitely think aging is a disease. In fact, even if you look up the definition of what a disease is, it's something that happens over time that makes you sick and can even kill you. If that's not aging, I don't know what is. It's only that aging is very common. And just because something is common doesn't mean we should ignore it or just regard it as natural and acceptable.
Right. So have we naturally, has aging changed over a period of time? Naturally. People died at 30 years old back then. Are we naturally living longer?
Yes, but not because of aging, but because of sanitary advances and good clean water. And
Yeah, Chuck, half the people died by 35 up to the mid 1800s.
Yeah.
So it changed very little from caveman up through the 19th century.
Yeah.
It's all science and health and sanitation for sure, and vaccines.
To answer Chuck's question, we're actually aging faster than we used to. Our lifestyle is so comfortable that our bodies don't fight aging. And let's talk later about ways that we can reverse that. But Gary, so this information theory of aging, 13 years of work testing the information theory of aging. And what we did was we disrupted the software of the cells in an animal, in a mouse. We scratched the CD, as I was calling it. And what we got was predictable, which was an old mouse. And in every aspect, it got old. And then we reversed aspects of its aging because we have the ability to reset the software now.
Okay. So now you Benjamin buttoned a mouse is what you're saying? After you made it old, you actually reversed the process? Because that is beyond.
Yeah, we unbuttoned, then we buttoned that mouse. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But they looked really old. You can see online there are pictures of these mice. Unfortunately, they gave their lives for humanity. They got old. They got gray. They got wrinkles. They got hunchback. They got kidney, liver disease. They got blind. And then we reversed it, which is great. It means that there probably is a backup copy, like the information theory of aging suggests.
Is there such a thing as epigenetic inheritance?
That's where it comes from. Yeah, actually, a woman, Barbara McClintock, discovered it back in the 1950s. She found that there was inheritance of certain characteristics in corn.
But if you can turn them on and off, it's kind of irrelevant that it's inherited because you can just go in and turn it off and on again.
Yeah, but you can turn it on. See, that's the problem with if it's inherited, it means that the behavior that you're doing now could actually turn on that gene expression without you wanting it to. So I think, but I read a weird study about epigenetics and use and how it would rearrange chromatin. So chromatin remodeling because of use. And if I recall correctly, they compared it to smoking cigarettes, which also does the same, not the same thing, but does a different thing genetically. So it changes like the methylation of DNA or something like that. I don't know. It was a while ago.
Chuck, you're going to come and work with me at Harvard at my lab.
Yeah. No, we need him. We need him here.
But that is impressive. What you said is true. So chromatin are the structures, these loops of DNA, how they bundle up. Because DNA itself in every cell is 6 feet long, but you have to get it down into that microscopic little cell. So chromatin is the bundling of the DNA. And open genes, red genes, the ones that the cell needs, are open chromatin, and then there's closed chromatin. And aging disrupts those bundles and those loops. And smoking accelerates those changes. A whole bunch of things do. You mentioned, but if we don't exercise, if we get obese, even stress in our lives will accelerate that process. We can measure it by looking at those chemicals, which you called methylation.
Cool. All right. So is what you're saying that something can happen in your life after you're born that'll change your genetic code such that when you have offspring, it will inherit what you acquired in your life, which sounds very Lamarckian.
It does. And actually, Lamarck was partly right that how mothers act during pregnancy can actually have a bearing on their kids. We did an experiment. I had a lab in Australia, and we fed mice and rats high-fat diet. They became obese, and then their offspring were more susceptible to getting fat as well. That's what we call epigenetics. And you can inherit how the DNA is not just the strands of DNA, but how they're structured, so you can be susceptible to diseases.
Can
Wow.
this present itself in not just like a biological state of you put on weight, but if, for instance, you were stressed and it's the mental aspect of a person's being?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. How you behave during pregnancy can greatly affect how your kids are when they come out. So, yeah, even in the womb, you can have a big effect on the future life, even the end of life of your children.
Yeah, I read somewhere about mothers who did not want their children, how they did a study and found that actually had a bearing on the child's mental well-being, the fact that the mother didn't want the child.
That's very true. And what we're learning now is that there are ways that you can raise children and even as adults modify your lifestyle so that you can overcome these things that may affect your ability to be, a healthy mental and physical human being.
So we can actually determine how our children will be, not just by the genetics, but by, for instance, you became super fit or you increased your intelligence in some way or another. You could then pass that into your children.
Yeah, for sure. And it's these chemicals that Chuck mentioned, these methyls that partly determine how our DNA is inherited to the kids.
So you can treat yourself well and end up treating your kid well.
But David, every cell of our body has identical DNA, correct?
Most of them.
Oh, yeah, okay. Defines who we are. And then like the zygote has this DNA, but what does it mean to change my DNA if I have a DNA in every one of the trillion, however many cells there are in my body? Is it changing in every one of those cells? Is it only changing in the sperm and the egg?
So how you behave, what you eat, whether you exercise, whether you get obese, that changes the epigenetics in the whole body. So your genes are changing and how they get switched on and off. And then your children can inherit those. But the DNA sequence, the actual string of chemicals, the 4 letters A, T, C, G, strung a billion times in different combinations, that doesn't change. So the reader changes, but not the actual music.